only immortal one, creator of heaven and earth, and the whole universe, we give honor, praise, and glory to you as the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. We thank you for our beautiful country, Papua New Guinea, and its people, and for having created us. Lord, we are sorry for our shortfalls as a result of our disobedience, our unfaithfulness, and sinfulness. Have mercy on us. Bless us all who are here today. Bless our ministers, our shadow ministers. Bless our Prime Minister, his deputy, the opposition leader, his deputy, the Speaker and his deputy. Empower us with your most Holy Spirit. Give us the strength, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding as we are gathered here to deliberate on important matters to move this country forward. Help us, Lord. Bless our plans and all we aspire to move this country forward. Lord, we acknowledge your presence as we join together in saying the prayer which your Son Jesus taught the disciples. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as you forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Honorable members, I have to inform the Parliament that the Parliamentary Committee on Broadcasting of Parliament Proceedings had met today and resolved that A, the National Broadcasting Corporation, television and radio would be allowed to telecast and broadcast live questions without notice. B, MTV will be allowed to broadcast live questions without notice. And C, TV1 will be allowed to telecast live questions without notice for news purposes for the duration of this meeting. Honorable members, I inform the Parliament that Papua New Guinea Education Institute students and lecturers are present in the public gallery this morning. On behalf of the Parliament, I extend to them a very warm welcome to the National Parliament. Are there any petitions? No petitions. Notices? No notices. Questions without notice? The Honourable Member for Kiriwina good enough?
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. No, thank you, Luke Savelo, people of Kiriwina good enough one more time. Mr. Speaker, my question without notice will be directed to the Minister for Lands. And before I do that, I'd like to congratulate the Minister for Police with all the questions being thrown at you yesterday and your answers. But more so importantly, that you've come to recognize that you are not only a policy maker and legislator in this parliament, but it is important to come down to our people and address their issues. And you've done well by going down to our people at Erima in the last week or so. Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to ask my question to the Minister for Lands. Minister for Lands, it has come to my attention in recent times that your department has advertised portions of land in my district, especially at the district headquarters, Losuya, and the sub-district on Goodenough Island, the Bolobolu station, which now brings me to the question is, the land that is acquired by people who are outside of my district and outside of the province, Milne Bay province. My question is, how did these individuals acquire this title that requires comprehensive business and economic plans? That's number one, for development purposes. And how did they acquire the titles without visiting the district? In order for you to come up with a comprehensive plan, the requirements are quite comprehensive, and there is a prerequisite that you submit a comprehensive report before you acquire these titles. Thirdly, why wasn't my district, through the DDA, advised by your department of these questionable arrangements, which also sees my district losing out in further development of this land, which is, when I say we have lost prime lands, I am actually astounded that we have plans for further development in the district headquarters and sub-district townships or district headquarters. And here we have people who are not from Milne Bay province, who are not from my district, acquiring land, and it restricts us that we already have plans for development in these areas. And now I'm left with either very little land or no land for further development. Mr. Lands Minister, through the Chair, please, if there is an opportunity here where you can either cancel these titles and return them to the district administration, it would give us give some hope to our people, because this government and the previous government continues to say that one of the best opportunity the country has is through tourism development. And as you know, some of the pristine, untouched land that we have here in the country is in the remote areas. And some of the beaches, some of the areas, some of the islands that you can find that are unpopulated, unpolluted, within my district. And I am actually very surprised to find out that titles have already been given to people who are not residing in my district and who do not either reside in the province. They reside somewhere out there in no man's world, and they already own land in my district. How do you expect me to expand services in my district when the titles have been given to somebody outside of my province and outside of my district that I do not know about? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Lands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank the good member for Kiruna Goodenough for his very important question. The titles and the meetings for the awarding of land for the Kiruna Good Enough area was done before my time. But I will check with my department and find out. And if the good member for Kiruna can come and visit me in my office and we can get to the bottom of it together. But at the same, sometime this week. At the same time, the lands were awarded, to my understanding, most of the provinces have provincial lands boards. And I understand briefly that the lands board for Milne Bay awarded those particular portions and gave from applications received from people throughout Papua New Guinea. And as it was advertised publicly, each and every Papua New Guinean is eligible to apply for those lands. And the Provincial Milne Bay Lands Board awarded those titles. But please visit me in my office so we can get to the bottom of it, and I'll be able to assist you. Thank you.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my questions without notice is directed to the Prime Minister. But before I ask my series of questions, I would like to firstly thank the three strong men who have stood with me in the opposition to provide the leadership in the opposition that this country needs to keep the government in check. I want to also assure the people of this country that we may be little in number on this side, but we will be very little in our approach towards keeping the government in check. Mr. Speaker, in my last 13 and a half years in Parliament, I have seen and witnessed most of the questions that have been asked on the floor of this Parliament is in relation to either law and order situation in this country or corruption or the state of our economy. Yesterday, during the question time, we have witnessed many questions which were asked yesterday was in relation to law and order situation in this country. I kind of felt sorry for the police minister because you guys never gave him time to sit down. He stood up almost 3/4 of the time trying to answer the questions in relation to law and order situation. And not only that, Mr. Speaker, our good police minister is also confused whether he's a police commissioner or police minister. Because he seems to be running around trying to do the police commissioner's job in contradiction to Section 197 of the Constitution. You are not supposed to be flying to places and trying to address law and order situation.
There's a point of order.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Deputy Speaker. Point of order is that I would ask the new opposition leader to please get to the point of the question. To make an allegation that I am assuming the office of the commissioner without any basis of fact is unparliamentary. Thank you.
Point of order in order. Leader of Government Business.
I'm getting there, Mr. Speaker. But I just want to know that the police minister must know where his limits are, where his duties and responsibilities are. Not to play the duties that a policeman should be doing. He should be running the policy within the police force. Mr. Speaker, my questions without notice are in relation to the 24 people who were massacred in Tari. Before I ask my questions, I would like to preface my questions with a brief background so we are all kept in the picture. In the early part of July, about 2 months, a month after the member for Tari Pori, now the Prime Minister, became elected as the Prime Minister, 24 people, including pregnant mothers, armless women and children, helpless as they were mutilated and killed by so-called warlords. It was a cold-blooded massacre in Tari. An entire community was wiped out, men, women, and children. When help arrived, It was to wrap up the mutilated bodies, pack them in bags, and leave them on the roadside. The scene was brutal and ghastly, even by the standards of tribal warfare, which happens often in many parts of our country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the entire news, complete with pictures, was carried in front pages of our local dailies, and it went viral on social media and even in mainstream media overseas. The member for Tari Port Renown and the Prime Minister, Honorable James Marape, said in his response to this massacre in Tari, "I am coming for you." It ran in the front pages of the dailies. These comments were carried prominently in both mainstream media and social media as well. Police and Defense Force presence.
What's your point of order, the Honorable Member for EJ Vitari?
I do understand the question of the new opposition leader. However, the opposition leader must understand that this is a matter that is handled by the police. And to make assumptions that the Prime Minister, on his remarks that he's alluding to, is that in a way of payback. But these are just mere allegations of what his interpretation of a statement is. So whilst this matter is under investigation, Mr. Speaker, I don't think the question should be asked until that formal report is out. Hence, he can then base his question on that report and forward that question to the Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order in order.
Mr. Speaker, that point of order is not in order because there is no court order barring me to ask this question. It's not sub judice. I am not aware of any investigation. I am asking a question because there's a serious issue.
Leader of the opposition, point of order is in order. It's before the investigation. If you need to ask your question, please do so.
Mr. Speaker, this is not assumption. Prime Minister did make a statement saying, "I'm coming for you." Now let me just leave Tari and go to Como. Just last week, the governor for Hela went to Como and witnessed armed surrender. And him and the commander for defense were celebrating for those who surrendered their arms, when we are supposed to be arresting those people responsible, but we are celebrating with them. And finally, Mr. Speaker, let's come back to Port Moresby, to Erima. We have asked questions about this yesterday, about the situation at Erima.
Yes, Minister.
I respect the honorable opposition leader. Please, wasting time, direct the question and answer directed the question. Don't beat around the bush and take us to Tari and then back to Port Moresby and to Australia, Como and everywhere. Please, ask the question so that other members can have the time to ask questions. Thank you.
Point of order is ready.
Mr. Speaker, I am on. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm only reminding us because sometimes we have short memory in this Parliament. Mr. Speaker, if that's the case, then let me first ask my series of questions. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, before I go to asking my series of questions, I want to ask the Prime Minister to explain to this country. I've read your manifesto, which you announced on the National Day. In your conclusion, and I read with great interest, that you said, "This mantra, aims and manifestos are from the core of my DNA and not from data, statistics, or policy evidence." Can you explain? That's my first question. Can you explain to the people of this country what do you mean by this mantra, aims, and manifestos are from the core of your DNA? Number two question. Can the Prime Minister tell this Parliament and the people of Papua New Guinea whether or not he has visited his own electorate since the massacre and after he made a challenge to go after those people who are responsible for the massacre. Number 3 question, Mr. Speaker. Can the Prime Minister tell this Parliament and the people of this country whether or not any of the Tariq killers have been caught and brought to justice? Number 3, Mr. Speaker. If not, then why not? Number 4, Mr. Speaker. Can the Prime Minister tell this Parliament and the people of Papua New Guinea why we seem to be celebrating arms handovers in province when we should be arresting every person with a gun? Mr. Speaker, what is the bigger message our Prime Minister is giving to Papua New Guinea and the world by allowing guns handover ceremony? You are basically trying to tell our people and the world that you can kill and mutilate people, and then we can ask them to hand over their guns and we celebrate together. That's the message that we are painting, Mr. Speaker. Can the Prime Minister inform this Parliament and the people of Papua New Guinea of the law and order policies and of how he intends to take our cities and towns back from these warlords, criminals, and trigger-happy law policemen? And finally, Mr. Speaker, can the Prime Minister tell the people of this country why he has asked each one of us to take back PNG if he cannot take back Tariq? I would ask the Prime Minister respectfully to remove this slogan, take back PNG, and replace it with take back Tariq Pori. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. But let me thank the opposition leader and congratulate him on his ascension back to that very important post. As we all know, we are a constitutional democracy, and constitution requires the opposition to be at work. And he's just doing what he's supposed to do, which is very good for the country. So for those of us on this side of the House, let's not take personal offense when they're raising matters of public importance. I think I'm happy he's promoting Tari in a better light for me here, and so let me also comment him in that sense, and let me construct some background to answer his series of questions. Firstly, the issue in Tari, like many parts of the country, is a result of many years of either lack of systematic intervention or neglect, or as someone who's been part of the economy team in the last 7 years, maybe allude to the constraint we face as population continues to grow, but our economy hasn't corresponded in growth. Let me, in the first instance, put the statistics as case in point, Mr. Speaker. Our current recurrent costs, and today we just come out of an extended caucus discussing on what will be a supplementary budget and what is happening in the economy this year, as an open indication to what has happened in the past 44 years of our nation's life. Today, seeing these numbers, we cannot really pinpoint blame on one individual person, but generally in the way we've come on board, and that police case or lack of police action in Tari is an indication to us the statistics we have faced nationwide. When you also see areas in PNC where normally are not prone to violence and crime and breakdown in law and order, you see it's happening now, and we just have to arrest this. And I think the opposition leader's question is coming from the perspective that we need to step up, rise up, and present a clear view to ensure we contain the law and order situation. Now, coming home to Tari, Tari and Hela province is a province of about 400,000 people with only 60 policemen. 20 years ago, the province was possibly part of Southern Islands, the population of about 350,000 people, with still 60 policemen. 30 years ago, the province was possibly, or the area was possibly 300,000 people, with police at about, personnel at around 30 policemen. So you see a corresponding decline in presence of police with an increase in population over that same period of time. So when you look at the statistics, 400,000 people divided by 60, it equates to one policeman to a little under 7,000 people. So what has emerged is a symptom of a society that has absolutely little presence of law enforcement or the total entire gamut of law and justice sector working in that part of our country. When I extend my horizon beyond Hela province and look into Enga province, when I look into Southern Highlands province, these three provinces that houses PNG LNG project, Kutubu oil fields, Moran oil fields, Gobe and Pogra. And in the last, since 1990 when Panguna closed, including Okteri, they have contributed to running this economy. Mr. Opposition Leader, I am happy that you share the same plight with me. And whatever the motivation of your question is, you just bring home a very important point, that areas that fundamentally anchor our economy in the present has minimal presence of law and justice sector. These projects continue to survive by the goodwill of people and leaders on the ground, Mr. Speaker. If it weren't for leadership on the ground, your PNG, our PNG LNG project would have been shut a long time. Leadership by our people, local landowners, leadership by our local elected leaders, including our members of parliament and our respective governors. It's a sad case in point that 20, Opposition Leader alluded to 24, it's not 24, it's 22. But whether it's 24 or 22 or one life is very important, cannot be lost at the hand of a machinery. Whilst the negativity is there, the bright side is the guy, the young person whose mother, children, is a young active man. He can pursue and he's got money, he's a small businessman, he can buy guns like anyone else. But he literally cried in front of the police minister after he spoke to me over phone. I said, he's a council of that village. I said, if you go and fight again, what will happen? And he told me, and in the midst of negativities, good stories do emerge in places like Tari. Who said good stories can come out of a place like Tari? There's some good stories too, not only negativities. This young councillor said, my member, I will not go and retaliate. I'm leaving it in your hands, in the hands of law and justice sector. He had every tribal arsenal to retaliate. But he never retaliated, and I pay my hats off to this young councillor. And he left it at the hands of law and justice sector to deal with. As Prime Minister, I can't, because it has happened in my own electorate, I can't be too greedy in mobilizing resources just to attend to one matter, because law and justice sector issues are prevalent right across our country. Yeah. But one cut and paste approach or one cosmetic approach in the circumstance that has happened will be of no permanent solution to the entire endemic problem our nation is faced with, the threat of insecurity from within our domestic hands. The prevalence of gun amongst us, not only in Hela province, but gun is a migratory species. They move from province to province, district to district, hands to hands. The mercenaries, they make money out of this one. This parliament has it within our disposal to discuss this, debate this in total clarity and find a solution out of this issue. If it is not a threat today, whilst it is happening, it will be a threat for us. And it's right across our country, including our autonomous region of Bougainville. So statistics in our police is quite sad. But we are faced on one side, Mr. Speaker, and members of this parliament. 7,000 policemen right across our country equates to one policeman for about 700 people. 7,000, I beg your pardon. My maths fails me. One policeman to 7,000. That's the statistics we are faced with. Let me place on record our appreciation for the former government, former Prime Minister and former police ministers who opened the Bomana Training Institute, training college, where policemen are now being retrained again. However, that also comes at a cost to our budget, to our economy. The more public service we add on into our payroll, they continue to dilute whatever space in our budget we have for our development challenges. So the challenge is all interlinked, integrated, big, but we can only work towards getting there in ensuring our country is better placed than where we are today by working out of this mess into the destination we so desire for the nation. So in the immediate term, Mr. Speaker, I think our police minister is doing an absolutely good job. He's trying to take stock of what he has inherited in the police department. All of us have contributed to the decay of police today. All of us. We politicized the police force. We wanted PPC to our own likings. We wanted policemen to our own likings. Some of us are entitled to only 1 or 2 bodyguards, but we've gone beyond that and we've made policemen become our personal securities. And whilst we have the luxury of debates on this floor of parliament, the reality begs and points to a much bigger weakness in our police system that through lack of budget support and through political interference over a long period of time, we've allowed our police to be in shambles today. And first and foremost, I rally the conscience of every one of us to give support to the police minister to ensure we build within the resource envelope he has within disposal, which is very small and not really big, to ensure police is resuscitated in a big way. Let's give support to restructure police and put in the police leadership, number one, and number two, work on police policies that can make it work. And I offer, in taking this question as a reference point, let me offer 1 or 2 indications. Again, from my DNA. And my DNA is possibly not correct. When the opposition leader made mention of my DNA against government policy and party policies. My DNA means my own individual thinking. I'm entitled as an individual to have my own mindset. What I am inside me, what I think on matters of public importance. If every one of you don't have your own individual mindset on matters of public importance, you're running around in an influence mindset. You're running around in an influence mindset. Every individual members of this parliament are entitled to their own mindset. That establishes who they are. That makes them differ from person X and person Y. So my manifesto is my individual mindset. Doesn't belong to my Pangu party, or doesn't belong to the coalition I represent, or doesn't belong to this government. Body of leaders must assemble to ensure we have policies that is workable, that will be subsumed, whether in national budgets, supplementary budgets, or national budgets, or policies that emanate, and legislations that are amended in congruent to the entire body of leaders' mindset. My manifesto is my own mindset. As I said in that manifesto, I will try to use that to sell against Pangu Party dogma, policies, and platform, or against a greater coalition. So in this regard, my own mindset in police is simple. And police minister can process this police commissioner can process this. Whether it's workable or not, it's up to the police department to process and see what is workable, what is not workable, and find solutions for our country. For he's paid as police minister to do this job. Someone is paid as police commissioner or police advisors to do that job. As Prime Minister and as body of leaders, we make statement of intent up to agencies of state to run with it, process it, model it, define it, see whether it's workable or not. So for police matter, as Prime Minister, and individually speaking, as individual leader of our country, I believe, number one and foremost, police should be deterred and divorced from political influence. Number two, there must be policemen and policewomen across this country must detach from doing business and must detach from staying in one post for more than 3 or 4 years. There must be a rotational program for police. In that sort of space, even if there is 60 policemen in place like Tari, the 60 men is not localized, and the 60 men can organize themselves better, and the 60 men can start to work to ensure that police work is taking place. We have so much across the country, police are so localized, they're confined to an area for so long, they become personalized, they become politicized, and the effectiveness and efficiency in dispensing police work falls through, and we become what I call community police again. For a place like Tari, you don't need community policemen. For a place like Tari, you need operational policemen, prosecution policemen, arresting policemen. So I'm just making some statement from what I feel inside and up to the police system to process this one and see whether these are workable. So rotational policemen is important. In the long run, as a government, we need to build police infrastructure properly. Number one need, I feel, apart from education, health, and infrastructure, we need to give top preference and priority to policemen. And for every good policeman that is serving in our country, I take my hats off to all of them. There are many policemen who serve in remotest part of our country or under trying circumstances. They do the absolute best. And I was just sending word to those in Erima. 2 wrong doesn't correct. Another wrong doesn't correct the first wrong. And to the country who is listening in, if a policeman causes offense in the community, don't cause another offense against a policeman to try to seek justification. Note it down, record it, lay complaint against police. There's a system in place for that to be worked on. And the system the police minister is working with to clean it up. You don't fight another policeman because that policeman has been rough on you. Note that policeman down and report that policeman. The opposition leader is correct. There are rooms for community police approach, but there are also rooms for policemen to do police job. We've so much negotiated away amongst criminals that criminals now feel that you can negotiate your way out of a problem. So I recommend to our police system in our country, there are place for community police and place for negotiations. But negotiations and community policing must never come at the expense of justice dispensation or prosecution. Prosecution must run its course. Arrest must take place. Later, in one-talk system organizations, custom place, Sabusol community like stop community to community exchange. But the murderer, the rapist, the person who is stealing, etc., must not hide behind Melanesian ways of resolving problems that police today, whether through fear that they don't have capacity to prosecute or whatever, we're finding a way back to just resolving and not bringing matters before court, but terminating matters that can be prosecuted at crime doorsteps. We should now shift away from just policing in community, and I think the police minister is working to ensure as CID capacity is built up, prosecution capacity is built up, and execution of justice through police system be effectively delivered. And part of this, Mr. Speaker, sorry I'm speaking on long and long, but I'm taking this to it. Hopefully we can work our way out of this one. Bomana Police College will no longer deliver only 6 months of training. We must shift away from 6 months to a diploma police training program. It's a 2-year program. Properly qualified grade 12 graduates who are coming in all the time, and to all the good policemen. I spoke to some policemen in Manus, and I'm making this statement again. We will remodel, if our economy picks up, on a golden handshake reward program for policemen if you serve faithfully for 30 or so years. But at the same time, we balance in discipline. You cause one problem, you're out. Always grade 12 graduates coming, so whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 strike out, the police minister can come back and tell us which is the best approach. But discipline case against policemen must mean policemen leaving job, and police will forfeit state portion of the super fund. They can walk out with their own contribution. You work faithful, we give you a reward after that. So we want to ensure police are disciplined and working faithfully. So a reward or a discipline on one side. So some of these mechanics and structural adjustments need to work at, instead of us passing those interventions beyond years, and as we pass them and leave them not to be attended to in our time, problems compound and problems compound. And what fears me most is that other peaceful areas of our country, you will slowly see problems migrating to those areas. And we want to arrest this one. We want to stop this one. And police minister knows maybe the approach in Milne Bay or approach in Eastern Britain or other areas may be different. But if you contain law and order in Hela, Southern Highlands, Enga province, you contain law and order in Port Moresby, you contain law and order in Ley and along the Highlands Highway footprint, the country will be in the right place. And some short-term measure I proposed earlier. Every citizen, we work towards every citizen being identified. No citizen must run around in the street and for police or government not to know who that citizen is. So these are some challenges we have. We just have to work the system and get the basics and fundamentals correct. Importantly and foremost, fix the police system today as we have. And then the police minister will come back to us to look at what is the right resource envelope we have to make and make those transitions and interventions in the medium term and into the 2020s and going forward, match them against a blueprint the Deputy Prime Minister and the entire law and justice sector is developing, so that we match police presence with the magisterial and judiciary services as well as the correctional institutions available, so we can know, our society can know, you can't get out with murder. You can't get out whether it's murdering 22 or murdering 1 or attempted murder or breaking law for that matter. There are also police presence that can come after you to make it happen. So coming back to conclude, Mr. Speaker, I've spoken long. A place like Tari is a sad case where lack of police presence in the immediate term, in the interest of maintaining greater police presence in those key economic areas, we're looking, and if the Parliament can and the leaders can agree, there's a need for more police presence up there. Mobile police as well as physical police on the ground. I know we have a moratorium on freezing of recruit, but there'll be a special submission to lift moratorium on police and policemen in key areas. We need to make intervention, and we beef up police presence in these sort of areas like Hela, Enga, Southern Highlands, Western Province, Port Moresby, Ley, along the footprints of key important asset areas, and for us to dispense police prosecution effectively as soon as practically possible for people to feel police can catch them. To that guy, Councillor Kololi, I take my hats off to him. Oli Rupu is the name of the young councillor. He lost his wife, mother, 6 children, nephews and niece. And he said, I will never retaliate. To those who continue to use gun, I said, I will come after you, and I'm not here and gone today. I'm here and I'm staying for some time. I appeal to this House. Gun issue, crime is a serious issue. Let's balance the debate. Human rights, and how do we address them? We have the power within our hands, and we need to work and start and address them now today. That question from the opposition leader is very much appreciated. Thank you very much. God bless.
The Honourable Member for Nawab.
Mr. Speaker. Asking Blomino Stablo Pepa, Igor Minister of Education. Before me ask him, he talk thank you. The Prime Minister, ask him, become a not fry member, good Becky me to come Master Prime Minister. Ask him for me sort. Tisla woga mi blom papa mama blom Papua New Guinea. Lo lugat in pigini no start na igo lo wante passbook. Before through you plan to come up yet. I was at the time. One school you got passbook na line more on banking money lo start one time school. He come lo independent na kamanda mi play no start in this la na all pigini blom mi play no salo banking money now. Time mi kisim wo ask him lo go open passbook pass them you come kisim wo kem company sali mo lo all grab lo Papua New Guinea. Minister me like legally ask him na me give him thinking long you can put him on policy. Lo Papua New Guinea school put him elementary school you going to have form 4 grade 10. Me go before it. Papa mama close to Lord Blancar or look table market or all legal business. Ina put him in all in Pigini long elementary school start one time passbook. Now Pigini must line long banking money long Papua bank. And now you miss sort of money and start sample money I'm losing about you go and out land country carry me go. So I'm now the point so me talk sem. Learning more long banking money. So Papua New Guinea all get a man and marry Papua New Guinea nuclear man. You must be savvy on banking money, look out in money. Now you may not can sort planting and banking ask him all get up look him loan. You must have the country bro you mean and you mix him loan inside the country bro you mean. Thank you, Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Education.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker, and thank you, Long. Ask him, Long, Member of Lonawai. Clear good, understand good questions, so how we answer him. But I think Long school, me can talk him also, you talk Long, line him, all pigini Long, open him account. Suppose me understand you good. Inside Long school, me like at all curriculum where all be line him all pigini Long and start Long elementary, now go on top all long grade 10. Behind Long this time, all long grade 10, all got all go finish him grade 12 long all by got all subject matters were all by look long lo line him accounting, so that all he can saw long work him all bookkeeping long all na kind something of them. I think Long answer him question you clear me answer him good.
Straight. You know, line him long accounting long big plus school. Help him papa mama so long hope him one passbook long one pigini. You see him na talk sa Papua New Guinea papa mama say start him passbook long little pigini. Thank you.
Me take him note now, me clear ask him you, but I think this time by me losing me go long hand papa mama. You know, plus something but you go and open him account long bank. Mr. Speaker, sorry, me addressing me go long member now but I mean, plus something where by me line more picking open him account on school. Something is me can put him go on papa mama long line more picking or like open him account long or picking only can you go and open him account. Thank you, Speaker.
Honourable members, our time for questions. The Honourable Governor for East New Britain.
Deputy Speaker, before you ask my question, I move that we extend the time. The question time to be extended.
Honourable members, the question is that the question time be extended by another 20 minutes. Those in favour, please stand. honorable members, Yumigat Naba, me extend him question time through him go on another 20 minutes.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, today is a very rare occasion for me at this honorable, at the floor of Parliament of this honorable House, because I will raise this question the third time. I raised the same question with a statement given to this Parliament in February. Now this is October. And I raise again the same question during the last Parliament sitting, and it is the third time, where I will raise it. And I'm directing my question to the Prime Minister. The question is in two parts, Deputy Speaker. Now this is regarding the disaster funding for my province. Ipalo kata ipalo bin sabi ala sabi bin gitar pala rain bin come up lo February lesa layar long East Britain. Na ibin affecting mol kata road lo mi pala. 7 pala bridge between West Britain na East Britain bin Bakarap. The North Coast Road, the Kokopo North Coast Road, which is the end room of economic growth in my province, today is still devastated, Deputy Speaker. In that report, which my disaster committee did for the government, was requesting for 17.8 million. The outgoing Prime Minister gave us the assurance that he will give us the 18.7 million, but unfortunately he has left. He resigned. I raised this question also last Parliament sitting, and our Honorable Prime Minister, respecting him, I know there is no money around, but what he assured us and give us undertaking that the money will be forthcoming, the first 5 million. You saw it's about 3 months ago, and I've been to detail the check number and so forth, and it bounced back from BSP Rabaul because there was no money. Now I only found out, Deputy Speaker, before last Sunday, I went up to Riyadh because there was a big fight. Riyadh village is the village. It's situated 70 kilometers on the foot of the Sinivit gold mine. Now in that first payment of the 17.8 million, some money is supposed to be allocated to contain the spillage of the vets. Now, for the benefit of everyone here, a vet was an old primitive type of way to do mining. The Sinivit gold mine is situated on the ridge of mountains between Pomio and Binding. And when that big rain came, it was away 2 vets, vet 1 and 2. And that is why I needed money for my province. 45,000 people live along the Barangay River. And today, at this point in time, as I speak, the weather is very favorable. And if I could have that money, so that we can be able to get some money and contain these vets before the weather comes in again. It is quite dangerous. 45,000. Now, the Barangay River, which comes from this mountain Sinivit, it's a very important river to us because it's a common boundary for 3 electorates. One is the Gazelle, one is the Pomio, and one is Kokopo. We have got about 45,000 people living along that river down to the coast. So what I'm asking me here to the Prime Minister, that when will I have some of that money so we can now, priority number 1 is to contain the vets before the wet weather comes in. And secondly is to get some of that money so I can be able to fix up all my roads. North Coast Road here, the Kokopo Rabaul Road to North Coast to Karavet. An important road through here. An important road through. This is where the men travel through those roads to get their cash crops and so forth to the market. Question also, Prime Minister, when I'm time through, but you give him some little money so people can fix himself a problem here. Thank you.
The Honorable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you, Deputy Speaker. Tok Sorelo, Governor of People Blogan Long Eastern Britain. I think after I asked him question on 5 million kinego pinis, but due to all cash flow na, kana say Martin Cheki, all represent him again. So Finance Minister and Treasurer is listening and taking note of this one. We will try to address you, at least find some money to come and for you to start those roads that have fallen behind. So I give you my reassurance again that we will expedite this process, depending on our activities tomorrow in our supplementary budget and ensuring that we match the funds that we will collect as we retire the balance of this year. So, we give assurance to you, Governor. Supplementary budget tomorrow finished. Now you may walk along at least 5 million campus to you. Thank you, Thomas.
The Honourable Member for Rabon.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. My questions without notice are directed at the Minister for Mining. And I ask that the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister and Attorney General, the Minister for Petroleum and the Minister for Lands and Physical Planning take note. Mr. Deputy Speaker, around 2006 I was appointed as the inaugural Chairman of the Constitutional and Law Reform Commission. Shortly thereafter, the Commission was issued a terms of reference from the Minister for Justice in 2007 to consult the people of this country and make a report to the government and this Parliament, primarily on why do Papua New Guineans have so much land, nearly 95%, 97%, still in customary custody, and yet our people are so poor. A report of the review of the incorporated land groups and the design of the voluntary customary land registration was prepared and presented to the government, with legislative proposals to amend the Land Group Incorporation Act of 1974 and the Land Registration Act of 1996. Mr. Deputy Speaker, chief among the findings of the Commission was the glaring fact that the resource owners or the land owners were never at the front table for discussions in relation to their benefits to be derived from their land and resources right from the beginning. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Section 3, Subsection 2 of the Mining Act of 1992 says that the Minister shall invite to a development forum such persons as he considers will fairly represent the views of the landholders of the land, the subject of the application for the special mining lease, and other tenements to which the applicant's proposals relate. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the identification of the SML landowner party had always been elusive all the time, as every landowner laid claim to the SML land, leading to ownership disputes, some of which are still active today, while the resources have either been depleted or are about gone. Mr. Deputy Speaker, on the eve of our 44th independence anniversary, that's the 13th of September this year, is the exact date the first Papua New Guinea special mining lease landowner is recognized and issued a certificate of incorporation in the multi-billion Kina Wafi Golfu gold mine, Morobe province. And this is the only officially recognized ILG in the Wafi Golfu mine SML area. There may be other ILGs too, but let's wait and see. Mr. Deputy Speaker, my questions without notice to the Minister for Mining are as follows. 1, after this has happened in fulfillment of the Constitution and the Mining Act, will you now invite WAFES Land Group Incorporated to a mine development forum as the only SML landowner party in the Wafi Golfu Mine Development Forum? Secondly, Mr. Minister, through you, Deputy Speaker, will you get the government to now give financial resources to WAFES Incorporated Land Group so that it can prepare itself and indeed all other ILGs and landowners that will offer their land in leases for mining purposes to the project, with the following for the Mine Development Forum: A, full surveys and registration; B, restructure and review of ILG constitutions; C, establishment of expert advisory teams; D, establishment of management teams; E, landowners modernization program; F, landowners policy development program; and G, any legislative program. Thirdly, Mr. Deputy Speaker, if yes, I thank you on behalf of this country. But if no, why would you refuse to recognize a lawful land group that is already properly registered and stands to set or lead the way in landowner benefits discussions? And finally, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is there any difference between a landholder under the Mining Act of 1996 and an ILG under the Land Group Incorporation Act of 1974? Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honorable Minister for Mining.
Thank you, thank you, Lodisla Goodbla Kosten, where Membablo Rabauli asked him. Firstly, Mila Gensarim Kosten, number one. Yes, time lo all kata hub where industry and recognize him Leonona participation na emi look savelo legitimate Leononas namelo oliatis hai come up in chorus. Plenty time this la decision osae karimingolo court. Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, also protesting the contest against this decision. That's why you got plenty Lenona come up. The Mipla work work him due diligence law display stop. Of course, Wafes Lenona group give him some la pasi kam la office blow me look him. You got Pure Lenona Association to stop. At that time, some time ago, government introduced him ILG system. But past time, Minister Pandanit Law Association where acti looks away. But Mipla work one time, all associations. Pure come up, now you got 2 or 3 more associations to stop. So process law looks away, and we have la process legally. Time department blow me like work one time one pla association. Mr. Speaker, Deputy. Plenty is I come up in court. Now make him this loud. Work blow me play hard legally. Number 2 cost and blow financial assistance. Lo MDC samla time you go finish government is give samla money. Lo contact him MDC. Lo this plan now me play give him this la money. Lo assist him all landowners. Lo participate lo MDC or Mining Development Forum. But now this plan time me play no got enough money. But time government kiss him samla money but me play look sabe. But Mipla by not give him nothing law associations. Nothing. But associations where Mipla through law system law Mipla find him out awesome or through associations. Mila kisim this time too, Deputy Speaker. Now Mila talk sabelo Papua New Guinea awesome but me introduce him. Nupla mining bill. Where come close to. You got plenty concern lo Papua New Guinea also Mipla Papa ground, and yet Mipla no reach. This la uncertainty or this la tintin where you me all keta iwanem. Mi planos I actively involved na participate. Nupla mining bill whereby me introduce him and by halbi mi pla legally. Deputy Speaker. This la bill number one bill whereby me introduce him behind the bill where been come up lo 1992. 1992 mining act come up because lo certain emotions and up lo BCL. Na mi sabe was some plenty blow you blow member we stop blow here you plan understand him meaning blow this la 1992 mining act when been come up this la time. No plan bill whereby me introduce him and by give more comfort. Deputy Speaker, and by making plenty Papua New Guinea involved. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Makam.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Asking Blomi Golo, Minister of Finance, Minister of Treasury can take note and to blast up close to so. Mr. Speaker, me like to thank you, lo government. Lo time no good you me go long and tasol. Me pla work lo simply go the SIP staff na. I'm helping me pla lo make him work. Maski time no good you me go. But you still look out in me pla lo the SIP. Me ask him blow me lo ampla constitutional grant money where Ogata electorate member entitled lo kisim go lo 1-1 electorate. Ma district support grant. This la money me play kisim long pla time now. Na me ask him tomorrow I think by you me put him supplementary budget again tomorrow. Na minu saya basta biar lo supplementary budget na yumi by kisim monogat. Enough Minister you talk clear lo display house. Whether this la constitutional grant money DSG where me pla Ogata member lo electorate the entitled lo kisim. Whether this la money by make available lo mi pla lo kisim before lo supplementary budget lo tomorrow. Suppose no God straight after supplementary budget in up mi pla kisim this pla money. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you to the good member for Markham for this question in relation to constitutional grants and also budgeted grants that are very, very important to districts and provinces. And there is no doubt about that. The DSIP, the PSIP has been utilized by members of parliament, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but generally good, I think, in order to facilitate development in areas of Papua New Guinea that have never seen development before. And that applies to Alatau district as well. But the member is referring specifically to the district and provincial support grants that are constitutional grants, guaranteed thereby in the Constitution. And most definitely provided for in the 2019 budget. But again, in relation to funding situation and so forth, which will be the subject for the supplementary budget, as you well know, tomorrow, we will be addressing all these issues comprehensively. But I think suffice to say that every effort is being made to ensure that DSIP and PSIP have been preserved as much as possible. And definitely the district support constitutional grants will also be preserved. I believe in totality, subject to Parliament tomorrow. And you will consider some of the changes to DSIP, PSIP as the discussions go forward, and Treasury will bring that tomorrow to Parliament after going through the usual process. So district support grants, every effort has been made to fund all previous years. And of course, 2019 remains outstanding. That is the truth, along with other elements of the budget. And again, it's all subject to cash flow, Deputy Speaker. And so I'm fairly certain, I can assure the member, that the DSGs are contained in the supplementary budget as well. It comes down to the question of availing those fundings in a timely manner. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for must be noticed.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Question Blomi, Amigolo, Minister of Correctional Services, Honorable Member for Sumkar. Lo 44 Independent Anniversary, you may celebrate na round Easter, but I think you got one blood breakout lo electorate Blomi lo Bomana, all prisoners, inmates. So me like find out lo minister or some all this la clubhouse line you go out there all dangerous lo line community Blomi lo 8 Mile lo Mosby o. Now I must give one blood report or some all some all finish o. All is still at large o. No good by break out all the time by all same time in work celebration so he got some blood development plan blow. Bomana CIS 2 stabo, Mila asking this la Costello, Minister of CIS. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Honorable Minister for CIS.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Firstly, before me answering, it's a good question blow. Member blow must be noticed. Bila talk thank you lo Prime Minister wanted this la government lo looks away lo people lo Sumka na put him mipla inside the cabinet na mipla participate inside lo la government mila talk thank you lo looks away lo people blow me lo Sumka. Me also mila talk thank you lo good la question member blow noticed emi racing lo 10 pla or remandis only been breakout lo prison lo Bomana lo 44th independence time. Me also mila commend him member lo good lo work I'm so work him lo electorate and me got concern because this la institution and me stands lo electorate belong mila commend him because lo this la time lo independence and me give him 10,000 looks away blow I'm going inside the institution member good law work yoking lo district blue. Thank you. Before lo migo straight lo insarim miga disila time lo Deputy Speaker you got one bla issue emi been come up through lo social media you got one bla social media comment you been circulate you describe him Minister of Correctional Service lo last parliament also emi olim paper na emi read na only label him Minister of Correctional Service also Dam and Kanaka which is scaling also lo side blame your leader you know good lo imi describe him yet we are here lo representing all people blame me we talk about big things kind also imi to talk lo big lo something all service must go lo district blame me all people must look him. It's only the average-minded people, they discuss about people. So, Milaka bring him this level of law because all people blow all larem na only fill him down. Because me makim all me sit down lawyer na only RM this law only fill him down na Mila clear him all sem. This law first question blow me during my inception law ministry and first question now me answer him. Now, me no being one block question before. Thank you. Law 16 September, yumi olim independence blow country. All sample minister want deputy prime minister. Mipla bin go antalo Imbongu. Okay, this la independence mipla okay antalo Imbongu. It was a national event where mipla hosting want grand chief. Na me talk thank you all people blow Imbongu for the successful completion of the event. Na congratulations member blow na minister Ninigi. Law display. So time Mr. Panta Blahab, Commissioner Blomi, I give him Toksawe go all go to correctional institution, law all to be hosting independence. So time only host him Antala Bomana, only host him independence na awesome invitation go all family, now all inmates all get a kambung, now only been working independence. Na this la time probably all money work lo busy go come na 10 pla all remandis online only staff wet court. Only no convicted, only staff wet court where 7 pla only simolo armed robbery, na 3 pla willful murder. only escape through law gate 24 law prison camp. So time only escape, probably only camouflage through law, all crowd, now only go out, or you got 5 all officer only been manned in the gate. So time this escape and me come up and time all Kalabus line go inside law dormitory blow. Now you got checklist only walk him, find out also I'm late. I think by 3 o'clock only step out law gate. So this is 5 officer only manned him gate. They were immediately being suspended. Under Section 52, Law Correctional Service Act 1995, Law this only mipla suspended all and me one all 5 and one inspector, 2 corporal, now 2 warder. So mipla sideline him all, waiting investigation. After this investigation, mipla by bring him notice go commissioner of police. Now this be come up with some police case scan where people must sim back this blah. But right now, this is 10 they will be the threat to the community and all business houses. So we are on it. Toksawe blomi go lol Kalabus line emi olsem. We are being fed 3 times a day for a crime that we did. So time you make a free kai. Now we must respect the law. Time court me put him down. Law amas playar be me save him inside lo Kalabus. We must faithfully stay there and complete him. Suppose he escape, the only penalty is by court by increasing number of lawyer me can law save. So it's important. All Kalabus line stabisi pinisim temblibla. Now also to the correctional service staff, you may sign him paper. Law saving this country. Want them honesty. Want them all kata. Want something by working inside the country. You may sign him paper finish. So even though correctional service staff, you may save him 1 blood 3 disciplinary force. We are not above the law. Suppose you may work him wrong, now you may broke him law, you may law by court him you may. So one time this law, me talk thank you, law good law question member blow notice and me bring him up. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Honorable members, time blow you me long. Asking question, stop long notice paper, and me come arre. Leader of government business.
Mr. Speaker, we take note of a good debates. Questions will come to the floor for us to engage in meaningful conversation. It's good to see we have all the leaders engaged from the opposition into the government as well. And all ministers where you may some questions, we can take note of those questions and progress further. With that, Mr. Speaker, I move that Parliament do not adjourn to 10 o'clock a.m. tomorrow.
Honorable members, the question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against, the ayes have it. Honorable members, I do now adjourn Parliament to tomorrow, 10 o'clock a.m.